I've been trying to formulate how I was going to talk about this. So, one of many things, I am a Doctor Who fan. I'm not the hardest hardcore Doctor Who fan ever, but at the same time, I would say I'm pretty mid-range. My mom was really into Doctor Who. She has and that's how I kind of got into it, and she had the poster with all the doctors up to, I think it was the 11th Doctor. I'm trying to remember the poster. Wait, I'm tripping. She has one up to the 7th Doctor. My bad. And I remember because it had all old ones, and then when they did that TV special thing for the 8th Doctor, is when my mom really, really we were getting into it and everything. And then I kind of went back and watched more and more of them and stuff like that. So, and my bad, because I remember who the 11th Doctor is. I was having a moment. Anyway, after watching, the special, kind of went back, started watching some of the others, and I remember when the 9th Doctor came in, and I was like, oh man, Doctor Who's back, and it was pretty cool. David Tennant, like many people, became my favorite Doctor. And after watching this episode, and as I was trying to figure out, and I had to redo the video because it got messed up. And I started seeing more information coming out where they're like, you're marginalized. They did this thing with Isaac Newton, which I'm like, why are you race swapping Isaac Newton? Why is it okay to race swap historical figures and then try to sit there and play victim and say, oh, you guys are just being, you guys are being bigots? And it's like, no, I would have the same issue if you took Martin Luther King and made him white. And I know with the Jodie Whittaker thing, they did the thing with the Rosa Parks, and it's just like, wait, what's happening here? So, Doctor Who, admittedly, has always, had some messaging and things like that, but it was told in a tapestry of good storytelling. And like I said, I had to redo this video a couple times, so I'm a little tired because I wanted to get my point across, or my thoughts across properly, or as best as I could. After watching that special, where first they mentioned something about his pronouns to that cat creature, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, I know today's thing is they're still trying to force this pronoun thing. Fine. I was like, actually, I don't know what that creature is. I could agree with that. That's how my brain took that. I'm like, I mean, he didn't check under the trunk, so we don't know. And they were playing it up with the whole, you have to ask the person their gender. Okay, sure. I can go with that one. I was like, all right. Then I should have known they were going to push some stupidity. So they do the 60th anniversary, and they have Donna, who's probably one of the most, if not maybe the most popular companion. I would say she's definitely in the top 3. She has, for a lot of people, she is the most popular. Not for me, so yeah, not everyone I know, but she is up there. Up there enough that I could say probably she is the most popular. And then you have David Tennant, who arguably might be the most popular Doctor. So it's like, okay, you guys are trying to fix what happened from before. And what it starts to show is that, Donna has her adopted trans daughter, which I'm like, okay. I had no issue with that. I was like, okay, adoptive trans black daughter. All right, sure. But I knew something should have been off when they did the pronoun thing. And then they did the big thing where all of a sudden, after everything's said and done, they're pretty much berating him for being a man, saying that he should have stayed a woman because he would have known better and how to deal with power, because only women do. And all these women are sitting there just shaking their head. Yep. And then they turn around and he's just sitting there letting them berate him about why he basically, what I felt like was the writers were sitting there saying, you didn't like the decisions that we made for the doctor because we did this crazy weird thing when we did a woman. Instead of just making her awesome and kind of play with these things, you went down this path instead. And because you didn't accept it, we're going to take your favorite doctor and tell you that this is stupid. Okay. They literally tell him how he doesn't, and he knows nothing. This Time Lord who's been around, depending on what you go with, for thousands of years or millions of years, they keep changing, but, you know, whatever. And it also did this retcon I couldn't stand, where they were like, oh, Doctor Who started off as a, you know, little girl thing and all this stuff. And as I was piecing this together, and they're calling people names, and then I, you know, seeing something else as I was doing, and this is why I was redoing the video, because I did see an article where I think they're going to go into fantasy or something. They're like, good, we're making the fans mad, because you know that always works. I've made the decision that Doctor Who is officially dead for me. That's trash. The fact that you're sitting there saying that just because he's a man, that instantly means he doesn't know what he's doing and he knows nothing, with some nobody person, this trans person who's now like, I'm a woman, and because of this saying that basically because that trans person transitioned from man to woman, that makes them a better person. Okay, well, what about the person that transitions from woman to man? Does that make them a worse person? And then they're also doing this thing too, where now Doctor Who's gay. I mean, forget River Song and, you know, forget his other relationship. That he had, I think Billy Piper's character, you know, forget these other relationships you've seen the Doctor in. It's, no, the Doctor's been gay. He's been gay the whole time. I've seen articles and everything, and they're like, you're just mad and you're not a real fan and all this. So here is my thoughts, and here is my thing. Now, I used to get really, really, really angry about a lot of these things. I mean, furious. Here's how I'm going to approach it. I'm never watching Doctor Who again. I'm done. I don't care if they fix it. I don't care if they change it. I don't care if they decided to do something. I'm done. It's over. You took my favorite doctor, you took this thing, and you were supposed to be course correcting, and instead you're leaning in harder than ever to these ideologies, and then trying to tell everyone you don't understand why they're angry. They're only angry because they're a bigoted person, even though me, myself, and you have an issue like they did with Isaac Newton and stuff like that, and the Rosa Parks thing, and then they're like, oh, well, you have an issue because you're, I seen like one thing say something about internalized racism or something. I'm like, no. I want to see this guy go on his space adventures, his time adventures, these different things, and even as the lessons that he learns, you see how these things are supposed to work out. But to sit there and have these people who have nothing on him, you know, he's been around for years and years and years and years, to tell him about his pronouns, and then come out later to say that after all these relationships, all of a sudden that doesn't matter, he's gay, which is also weird, because why didn't you just make the new doctor gay? Because that would have been more interesting to see him. I mean, to me, I think it would have been more interesting to see him explore like this new sensation, since you want to focus on him now being in relationships, like, oh, he's gay. And he's like, hey, I'm attracted to men. I'm gay. And there's like a joke here and a thing there who like say something, and then people are like, see this one thing off here. And I'm like, did they ever follow through with it? No. I'm also a person who really like Torchwood, and Captain Jack Harkness, gay character. He was also a companion for a bit, you know, the whole thing. And I'm like, no, I really actually like Torchwood. Torchwood was awesome. Main character is gay, like, so, you know, but these people, because I have an issue with how they handled it, what they told on the story and what they did, that makes me a bigot now. You know, this black man in America, I'm now that. So that to me is ridiculous. The fact that they're doing this, and I know they're going to be doing more crazy stuff. And you know, the BBC is the one that gets paid for it, so they don't care. They don't care what they do to the fans. They don't need a raise or whatever. So just like many, many, many other things, I've just been working on other stuff in life, and I'm done with this narrative. I'm done with this message. I'm done with this wokeness. And I know there's people like, woke, blah, 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 blah. No, there is a thing to woke, and just because people use it doesn't make the term meaningless. When you're doing stuff like that, where you completely break the story, you're not telling me a story anymore. You're berating me through a character, or you're doing some kind of self-insert through a character who already has an establishment as a, who they are. And you're just sitting there and you're like, well, now it's all based on gender and stuff like that. And then I'm looking at them and I'm like, wait a minute. And also too, if he's gay, you just had a LGBTQ person, berate him. And then you had women berate him, and they were basically berating, from your own narrative, they were berating a gay man about how he's not good enough being a gay man because you decided to change him to be gay. So that also comes off a little weird too. And I'm like, you're calling everyone else a bigot, but you knowingly had these characters berate a gay man about his gender identity and things like that. So that makes this even funkier. And like, if you're going to do that, how dare you? But that's it. That's all. I'm done with Doctor Who. I'm never watching Doctor Who again. And this is how I'm handling these things from now on. I'm not wasting my time anymore. If I'm seeing these things, I will talk about them from time to time, on here. But I'm not wasting my time to keep watching. I'm more just like, I just don't want to put the energy into this garbage anymore. I'd rather watch it fail. Same thing with MCU and everything. When you're doing this kind of garbage and the people who keep going, oh, it's about diversity and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, diversity is having a character and respecting who they're doing and what they are as a character. You can still talk about racial issues. You can still talk about these things and not constantly berate or cut down a gender or a race or a person. And the funny thing is that I'm noticing this trend that I'm not liking, where it's okay to just cut down white people, especially straight white men. I've seen TikToks and things where people are like, you have to do your internalized racism. You have to do this, you have to do that, and you have to do this. And I'm like, okay, but if you call out these people for the things that they have done, for the atrocities they have done too, like, just to give an example, it's funny, I will constantly see people talk about how, like, straight white men have done this and racism stuff, and that is true, but they won't talk about things like the Dahomey. Or Africans that did it too, or other things. Like, people do horrible things throughout history, and it's not always a white straight male. And it's not always this. There's nuance to all this stuff, but they don't do the nuance. They're just pushing this narrative, and they will change everything and change anything, and it doesn't have to make sense just for them to push this narrative. So, and it just keeps bleeding into everything that I pretty much like. Now, there's still stuff out here, thank goodness, that I'm still cool with, I'm still okay with. That's still good. But a lot of it is just, I'm done. After a point, I just stopped consuming it. Now Doctor Who has fell into that category. Tell me what you think about this. And this will probably go out in the next couple of days when I'm done editing it. So when I load it, just realize this was from a few days ago. But I would love to hear, any Doctor Who fans, how they feel, what they think, because I'm officially done with this entire series now. I'm like I said, I'm just done wasting my time. I'm done being preached at and about these things, and I'm done with all this forced messaging instead of telling me a story and weaving a tapestry. And if you want to put the message in there with a tapestry of goodness where I can go, but no, you will just bulldoze through the entire continuity, through the entire story, just to tell me some whacked out message. Just because someone has a gender, that means they're less than. Geek Protagonist, you stay safe, you stay healthy, stay real. I definitely would love to hear the comments, or I should say read the comments. See ya.
We'll be right back.